The Theory of Everything is the latest film from director James Marsh, and it's an incredibly ambitious film. It follows the life of Stephen Hawking. It's based on the book written by his wife Jane, and you really get a sense with this picture that it's about Stephen Hawking's relationship. Now, on the surface, this film could be very alienating. A lot of the science in the film you could think could be very complicated, but the filmmakers do a fantastic job of making the story relatable, explaining the science on a basic enough level that you can sort of understand it, but in a way that it aids the story. Now, you can't talk about The Theory of Everything without talking about Eddie Redmayne's performance. This performance is out of this world. It's incredible. Having previously been known for films like Les Mis, where he's playing a relatively straightforward role, Eddie Redmayne comes out of nowhere to deliver an incredibly intense performance. Now, I'm not quite sure how he managed to contort his body in the way that he does, but he does an incredible job of replicating Stephen Hawking's motor neuron disease. The way that the muscles in his face form, you really forget that you're watching Eddie Redmayne, and you might as well be looking at Stephen Hawking, which is a real testament to the actor, and it really is a phenomenal performance. Now, that's not to say that the other actors aren't good. You've got Felicity Jones, who's playing a very complex role, and a character that could potentially be quite demonizing, but does so in a way that you completely understand her character's motivation, and if anything, you sort of empathize with towards the end. There's other great actors in this film as well: Charlie Cox, David Thewlis, Maxine Peake and Harry Lloyd, a really great British ensemble. Now, this film has to deal with many different aspects of Hawking's life, from his scientific theories to his relationships, his schooling, all these different things, and it really helps to flesh out Hawking as a person, because going into this, I only really knew him as a scientist. But his personal story is actually the most interesting aspect of this film, and I feel really drives it forward. At some points, this film is really difficult to watch. It's just that frustrating to see Stephen Hawking going through this struggle and not be able to do anything about it. But it's a necessary watch, I think. It really hits home just how much personal difficulty he's had to overcome to get to the place where he is now. At certain points, I would have liked the pacing to be a little bit quicker. Some elements, especially when it did have to deal with the scientific stuff, did feel a little bit slow, but that was only in comparison to the rest of the film. It's not a major gripe, but just something that I would have preferred the film to have sort of sped over. At just over 2 hours, I feel that The Theory of Everything is just about the right time. I think that James Marsh has done a really good job at conveying what could have been a very complex story and boiling it down to a human level, so it's very understandable. Eddie Redmayne is absolutely fantastic. He really is the standout of this film. Felicity Jones was also really, really good, and I give it an 8 out of 10. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon for another review.